I know from your perspective, this looks like the most tedious, boring game you've ever seen. And to a degree, you were probably right. This is Knights of the Temple Infernal Crusade, a very simple hack and slash game developed by Starbreeze Studios, and it happens to be a game that I absolutely enjoy. You play as a Templar on a crusade to stop some evil bishop who captured this woman who has divine powers, and to be honest, the story's kind of an afterthought. I think this game had much bigger ambitions and, hopefully a bigger budget, and that just didn't happen. So what we got is this. The point is, you are a big boy crusader ready to kill everything, and that's why I love this game. You slay literally everything in your path, including furniture. It's simple, not a time sink. It's just easy to pick up and play right where you left off. Before I go too further, it's important to talk about the version I am playing. I don't own Knights of the Temple physically. It came out in 2004, but it's oddly obscure. I can't find a cheap local copy, and buying anything overseas can be costly. I do have the Steam version, which doesn't work out of box unless you're willing to do some tinkering. I streamed a bit of it once and ran into a plethora of issues, even when trying fixes I found in the forums. I opted to play the Zoom platform version. If you're new around here, the Zoom platform is a digital, DRM-free video game marketplace. Their main gimmick is making sure games work in modern operating systems. Sure enough, Knights of the Temple works just fine on immediate boot up. I didn't have to do anything. Zoom's also the only storefront selling Knights of the Temple 2, so expect that review shortly after this one. It was developed by Cauldron, which is, not a problem. Anyways, let's talk about the game. When you are finally given control, because there's quite a bit of crusty cutscenes before this, you are in a small room with no enemies. Here you can swing your sword and destroy the furniture. I actually kind of love how this starts. Since there's not a traditional tutorial, this room allows you to safely play with the controls and make sure everything is squared away. There's no rush. You can stay in here as long as you need. I may be reading too deep into it, but I truly think the player starting in a room with no conflict is good, even if anticlimactic, a space to briefly experiment to make sure you are somewhat comfortable with the control scheme. Again, I'm probably reading way too deep into it. I'm sure the devs just wanted to start you into a locked room for plot reasons. The first enemies you face are monks that are not trained fighters. They make weird noises and flail their weapons. They do little to no damage and are basically the grunts from Halo. This is probably Knights of the Temple's best detail. As you progress through the game, you'll see different enemies and they act differently, from untrained monks to village guards to Saracens, you name it. I even think the color of their uniforms matter too, if I had to guess. There is a gap in the middle of the game where the enemy progression kind of stagnates, but it's only briefly. It's really cool as it makes seeing a new enemy kind of spooky, like, oh man, he's wearing something no one else is, I wonder how difficult he'll be. Then when you learn which ones are annoying, you groan. Like any enemy that block spams, I just can't stand the block spam. I guess that's a good time to bring up the combat. This is a brain-dead hack and slash. Brain-dead. But I say that with all genuine satisfaction. You see, I like my overly complicated strategy games, and I like my RPGs where one misplaced skill point is the difference between an easy time and a hard one. Sometimes, however, I just want to sit back and mash buttons. That's Knights of the Temple. You got a light attack and a heavy attack, special abilities, and prayers. There is a combo system, but it's kind of pointless. Enemies don't always stun lock, so they'll just block the combo. Really just depends on who you're fighting, but all the time you can just mash the light attack and it works. It's the perfect kind of game to just play to shut your brain off to when you just need a moment to relax. I do not think this is a game that deserves undivided attention, if that makes sense. You boot it up, play it for a while, and put it back down. But anyway, I still got some combat to explain. The special abilities are either block breakers or have an area of an effect. You see that blue bar underneath the health? This is the special ability meter. It auto-rejuvenates. The white bar underneath is the prayer moves. There's the healing one, the fireball one, shield, and a blast that kills most enemies on the screen. I don't really have footage of all these spells in action because normally what I do is I just do the healing one. The white bar doesn't auto-rejuvenate. I think it rejuvenates after each kill. But the point is I save it for healing. And healing is the best thing in this game because you can do it in the middle of a battle and you're immune the whole time. Like enemies get pushed back, you're like invincible. Once you get this prayer, it should be impossible to lose the game on normal and below difficulties. It just should be. But yeah, that's combat. The only real depth is with the previously mentioned blocking. There are enemies who will block till the cows come home, and you either break their guard with a special ability or attack between their swings. So the strategy becomes hold back, wait for that bar to fill, break everyone's block, or push everyone away, and then spam light attack until they start blocking again. Rinse, repeat. Patience is key. Now, not every enemy blocks, but enough do that you'll need to be somewhat smart about it. For weapons, you got 3 kinds: swords, axes, and maces. You get them at scripted moments in the game. There's no looting besides breaking boxes for healing ointments or arrows. There's not like an inventory system. There's no armor or anything like that. Sometimes the weapons could be hidden, but due to how corridor the maps are, you shouldn't miss these upgrades. Not sure if there's a real difference between the 3 style of weapons. It's best to use whatever the newest edition is. To test this theory, I fought the first boss with a sword. Died miserably. I used the axe I got a few minutes before, and won no problem. Pretty sure the weapons make a difference, but I'm not sure if some are better than others in certain scenarios. But as stated, the game's pretty easy on lower difficulties, so you shouldn't really have to worry about it. There's also a bow and arrow, which is useful in combat, but typically you want to save your arrows for puzzles. It is possible to softlock if you run out of arrows. Due to this fear, I rarely used it. Using the bow puts you in first person, which is really cool, and only time you can freely move the camera, but I saved those arrows whenever I needed. Speaking of the camera, while moving about the levels, the camera is fixed. Kind of reminded me of Onimusha. It's got the same kind of spookiness, dark areas and creepy decor. Well, not all the time. Sometimes you're in a bright lit area, like with the Holy Land and Petra, but sometimes it's spooky. Regardless, I'm sort of torn on this camera. It does get in the way at times. It can also make navigating challenging if you can't mentally map out the area, but these issues are minor. As I've already stated, the levels are very corridor-like. Getting lost is rare and usually just a minor setback. When the camera does interrupt combat, a minor reposition corrects the issue. What makes the fixed camera cool is when it zooms in to focus in on a fight. I don't know why, but I love it when it does this. It's like the camera guy's like, oh man, something's going on, it's happening, I gotta zoom in, baby, yeah! When it comes to the graphics and audio, everything's pretty good. I don't have any complaints. The music is fitting. It gets kicked up when the fights start. The voice acting's fine. But that being said, whoever did this particular specific voice work was giving it their all.
You look upon this scene and are repulsed by what you think is profane and evil. But soon you will understand. You will come to know the beauty and the glory of what you now behold. You know, you are a lot like us, Paul. You fight with all your passion for a cause. We Saracens are much the same, though our cause differed from yours. We have had never-ending wars with the European forces, but now the Lord Bishop has united us all. The cause must be the right one. Are you fighting for the right cause, Paul? Join us, and your heart will be fulfilled. We share a true belief that unites all men, all religions. We have your kind, knights of the temple among us, fighting side by side with simple peasants. It is the one way to true power, worth every sacrifice, every single spilt life. Come with us to the holy city of Jerusalem. Soon, the circle will be completed with the last sacrifice. You cannot imagine the power with which we will rule the world.
Like, man, that's the best acting in the whole game. Visually, the maps are great. It's only the cutscenes that are stinky. Playing this game on a big old modern monitor makes it even worse, but it's whatever. There's not many of them to begin with. This is just a fun game, and I enjoy the heck out of it. See this file. This is the first time I recorded gameplay. The file is corrupt because OBS crashed because I live dangerously. I record in OBS in .mp4, which means if it ever was to crash, I'm going to lose the footage. But I like my chances. This is the first time in a very, very long time. Anyway, this file was about 45 minutes long. I played that 45 minutes again to make sure I had footage of everything. That is proof I genuinely like this game. Because if I didn't like this game and I was going to make, like, you know, let's say OBS crashed during Dark Sector, that video would not have been made. I would never have done it. Also, some proof is that my computer experienced some issues to the point to where I really couldn't work on this video anymore, and then I was kind of demotivated to do anything when my computer was not working. But once I got it fixed and I started working on this video again, I actually remade the script, rewrote it. I'm rereading it now. I just want to make this video, and I want to make it how I want to make it, which is basically just me ranting about how much I like this game, even though it's jank. On the stinko meter, it's about right there in terms of jank. There's nothing game-breaking, and sometimes it adds to the enjoyment. Sometimes. Shout out to Darth Fandom for this meter, by the way. He made it as a joke, but I'm going to keep using it. It's probably going to be in every video from now on. Links to his blog down below. It's pretty cool. You should check it out. Anyway, there's more jankiness, and it's not all, you know, perfect and, you know, happiness. The puzzles are absolutely stupid. Either they're dummy easy or they're ridiculously tedious. Now, I hate puzzles, and that's half the reason I don't like survival horror. The other half being that I'm a big wuss. But the fact that these puzzles are usually poorly explained, don't make a lot of sense, and almost seem luck-based is the problem I have with it. Probably the funniest part is the final enemy type. So okay, you're going through this one level that's supposed to be Petra. Then you open a door, then bam, you're in hell fighting demons. Unless I missed something, and I could have. I don't pay attention to lore a lot in these games, but I think this came out of left field. It's immediate. You go through it, like the room leading to the door looks perfectly okay. It's 1 minute you're in the, you know, stereotypical, you know, Arabian desert. Next you're in hell. And your character has absolutely nothing to say about it. He doesn't bring up a point. He doesn't say anything, which is why I'm pretty sure this game's unfinished. There had to be a cutscene where he walked through here and was like, oh my god, it is hell. My lord, protect me. I mean, I'm finding it really difficult to find more negatives. I really don't want to make it sound like it's the best thing ever, because it definitely isn't, but it's definitely the best game to play if you need to kill a few minutes and you want something you can shut your brain off to. It's like the Call of Duty of hack and slashes. My only complaint throughout playing was the very few and far in between checkpoints and save locations. Die to a boss, get ready to fight some dudes again to get that second chance. Get ready to do one of those stupid puzzles I've mentioned. But other than that, man, I really do like this game. It's very cozy. About a dude just doing a bit of crusading like the good old days. I mean, look at this. This is amazing. Not a cell phone in sight. Well, I guess it's time to check out the second game. I'm a little excited because I've never played a single second of it. I haven't even looked up footage of it, to be honest. I want to go in really, really blind. When I saw that Knights 2 was a thing, I'm really purposefully trying my best to go in as blind as possible. Let's see what Cauldron has in store for me. Maybe this is Cauldron's best game. I doubt it. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Happy crusading. And I'll see you in the next episode of whatever that may be.